using my freeze-dried rhubarb. I use vanilla with love. I don't have high hopes. My brain would have been halfway working.
Played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little girl, daydreamer, kidnap me, take me back, all the way back.
Welcome back to the Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Lynn. Welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Tomorrow is our next meetup for our Women in Homesteading group that I host, our local chapter here in our town, and I always bring the snack. And keeping with spring and what's available in the spring, I'm going to be making another snack that has rhubarb. But this time, I'm going to be using my freeze-dried rhubarb that I freeze-dried over a week ago instead of fresh. One, I've harvested all of my patch and freeze-dried it or frozen it. And I'm really curious to see how this turns out. Today, I'm going to be making rhubarb shortbread cookies. Shortbread cookies, homemade shortbread cookies, is one of my favorites. It's such a beautiful cookie. They're not too sweet. They're very delicate, melt in your mouth right away. Very easy to make, takes very little ingredients. And adding rhubarb, I think, to it is just gonna make them that much better. So the recipe actually calls for 8 ounces of fresh rhubarb. Because we're using freeze-dried, you need to use a lot less. So 2 ounces of rhubarb is what, freeze-dried rhubarb is what I'm using. I let it soak for over an hour in boiling water to rehydrate. And it literally smells like I just went out and picked rhubarb out of my garden. So that is all rehydrated now. Is preheated to 350 degrees, and I have a large cookie sheet lined with parchment. So first we're going to take our 1 cup of room temperature unsalted butter and a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. This is what makes shortbread so delicate and just delicious. And we're going to cream these together till they're light and fluffy. Nice and creamy. We're going to add, the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's probably more like 2, but you know me. I use vanilla with love. And we're going to add the 2 cups of all-purpose flour and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little.
So you know it's all mixed when you squeeze it together and it holds its shape. And now we're going to gently fold in our rhubarb. I did drain out. And this is where it went terribly, terribly wrong. Any of the water, there was just a little bit left, and I used, so it was 2 ounces of freeze-dried rhubarb, and I used 4-ish ounces of boiling hot water to rehydrate them. And I'm just a little concerned that even this 2 ounces is too much, so I don't think I'm going to put all of it in. I think that's probably about 1 ounce. I think 1 ounce would have been plenty. Yeah, I'm just going to do 1 ounce of the freeze-dried rhubarb. It is, that's going to be way too much. Okay, so now we're going to get these on our cookie sheet. So I'm going to use my smallest cookie scoop to measure them out. So you want roughly about 1 tablespoon. We're going to roll them into a ball and set them down. So these are going to bake for about 25 minutes or until you see the edges just turn lightly golden brown.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and
Update on our 4 little chicks. They are already starting to get their feathers, and We have checked their wings numerous times, and it looks like all 4 are hens. I don't know how we got so fortunate, but it looks like all 4 are hens going by their wings. I'll certainly check them again as they get bigger, but yeah, it looks like they're all hens, so pretty excited, and they are moving up to a bigger brooder this weekend too. They have outgrown the temporary box we put them in when they were so tiny. I'm not happy at all with the way these cookies came out, and if I wasn't trying to do a million things at once, my brain would have been halfway working. And I knew putting that rhubarb in, as I was putting it in, I thought this is way too wet. This is not going to work. I never should have rehydrated it. So I've made everything else the same, but I've powdered some freeze-dried rhubarb. I have added no liquid to it. And I figure if I have to, I can add a little teeny bit of water to the batter here, but I have done everything else the same. And I'm just going to add some powdered freeze-dried rhubarb, maybe, if I can get it. So that's about a cup. And I measured out an 1 ounce of rhubarb. So I've added all of 1 ounce of freeze-dried rhubarb. And we're gonna try this again. I'm gonna roll them into a ball, bake them, but this is how they turned out, and they are not very appetizing looking. I have no idea what they taste like yet. I'll do that in a minute. But I just think having it powdered too might be a little bit more palatable than biting into a chunk of diced rhubarb. If the second batch doesn't work, I'm just gonna make a banana bread. Okay, the new batch is in the oven. I added maybe 3 tablespoons of water. I just put water in the blender that had the dried rhubarb in it. And we're gonna see if they turn out. Meanwhile, I'm gonna try one of these and see how they taste. I don't have high hopes. Nope, they're terrible. They're like a biscuit, not a cookie. And that rhubarb cut up like that is not a great texture. Just 1 second. Second batch has been cooling. We're gonna try these ones now. I have a banana bread going in the oven because I just don't have any hope whatsoever that these are gonna work out, and I'm not gonna take something that I'm not proud of or happy with to give to other people. I'm not gonna, that's just not in my makeup. I can't do that. So the banana bread that's in the oven is the one that won when I did the 3 different recipes, and I'll link that video here for you to see. I'm making the one that we deemed the best out of the 3 I made, and I've made it several times since, and it truly is one of the best banana breads. There's sour cream in it, and I think that's what helps it. So I've got a good old-fashioned banana bread in the oven that I'll be taking down to my group tomorrow. First, let's try one of these cookies. Okay, first up, they're better than the first batch, but that's not saying a whole lot. They have no shortbread texture at all. I'd almost say they're a biscuit. Definitely can taste the rhubarb, maybe a little too much. They're not sweet. They're not the worst thing I've ever ate. That's a terrible, like, critique, but they're not the worst thing I've ever ate. But they're not shortbread. This is not a shortbread, and I'm sure adding the powdered freeze-dried rhubarb totally changed the recipe. Yeah, it didn't work. It did not work. I will link this recipe down below. Maybe you will have better luck with it than I did, because I sure didn't. I'm gonna chop this up to a disaster. Like, sometimes things don't always work out when you're baking, especially. Baking can bring you to tears. It absolutely can. It has me. Thanks for joining me today while I had a disaster in the kitchen and made terrible biscuits that taste very much of rhubarb. Until then, take care, God bless, and we'll see you all soon.